Okay, what time does 2 o'clock meeting start there, kids? You got me live there, Teresa? Everybody ready?
2 o'clock. What time does the meeting start?
6:30,
6:30.
special meeting. I'd like to call order the Sparks City Council meeting of Monday, August 13th, 2018, with a roll call, please.
Mayor Martini?
Here?
Council members Abbott? Lawson? Smith?
Here.
Bybee?
Here.
Deere?
Here.
City Attorney Adams?
Here.
We have a quorum, thank you.
Okay, next is opening ceremonies. First of all, I have Pastor Lee Nash, I believe, Sparks Methodist Church. If you'd all stand for the prayer, please.
And let's be in an attitude of prayer. Gracious God, it is your capacity to be gracious and immense, God of the universe and God of the city of Sparks. Your love knows no bounds. And as we gather here for this public hearing, we just pray that that love and wisdom prevail here, that we may earnestly seek to listen to one another, to express kindness, and to express patience as we struggle to see from a variety of viewpoints all that is demanded of us in this modern day, to be able to bring this community even closer together, that we might celebrate our true identity as the community of Sparks. We pray that we leave no one behind as we consider all of the business that's before us, and that each person being as important as another. We just seek the humility that it takes to have earnest and important conversation as we seek to speak the truth in love. We know your blessing attends each person in this room, and your blessing attends us as a community as well, and we're grateful. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Pastor, for those kind words. Appreciate it. If you remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Mr. Smith, would you lead us, please?
Absolutely. If you'll join me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You giving away something free today or something?
Yes. If you're gonna eat them now.
There's some napkins.
Okay, next, I see something that's not on the agenda that I want to take care of. Is Tracy here? Tracy, we have Mr. Mark Antis from Jersey Mike's going to make a presentation. Is that on the agenda anywhere? No? What's that?
Public comment.
Okay. I will take care of that then. Okay. So we're right there now. Next is public comment. Go figure. Okay, Mr. Mark Antis with Jersey Mike's, if you'd come forward, please.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today. I appreciate
You
it.
bet. Thank you.
Not really sure. I should be talking to these people. Right?
Yeah, that's right. And this is Tracy. You know Tracy from Parks and Rec.
Okay. Just a couple things I just want to let you know about our company. If you haven't been to Jersey Mike's yet, I highly recommend you come check it out. It's not only where we voted the best sub in America by the Travel Channel, but we also have a way of dealing with our customers and the community where we connect with them. We make it fun, we banter. It's kind of like the local neighborhood deli. It's really a lot of fun for our customers. But most importantly, we're very big on giving back to the community. It's part of our culture, it's part of what we do. And since I opened my first location about 3 years ago, I've raised tens of thousands of dollars for over 30 different organizations in the area. It's exciting for us to be here and be part of this growth. There's a lot going on in the basin, and we're going to be a big part of it. But every time we open a new store, we partner with a local charitable organization, and we raise money for that organization. The first week we're open, for the store that we have right now that we just opened about 4.5 weeks ago at Legends next to Chick-fil-A, we raised money for Sparks Park and Rec Youth Scholarship Fund.
Perfect.
We go around to all the businesses in the area and we give out free subcards to everybody that works in the area. And we say that to every single person. By about the 10th or 12th business, I can't say. But, and then while we ask is when they come in, they donate at least $1 to our local charity. And so that first week we raised $2,500 for the Sparks Park and Rec Youth Scholarship. This is the real one right here. Unfortunately, I'm glad you're here. So quick pick and we'll get out of your hair. How's that?
Great.
And thank you to you guys.
No, thank you, Mike. You know, so many people that own franchises don't do this, and we appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's a little breath of fresh air for someone that owns a franchise to come into our area and then work for our Parks and Rec Department, raising money. So, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Well,
And
it's a pleasure for us, and I also want to say too, if you guys ever have any fundraisers or any way we can help you out, it's a big part of what we do. My name is Mark Antis. Please call the store, ask for me, and we'll be happy to help. Okay.
and Sparks will return the favor, believe me.
You guys have been a great support. We appreciate it. Okay.
Thanks,
you,
Mike.
everybody.
Appreciate it. Okay, public comment. Bill Wagner. Welcome, Bill.
Before I start, I just would like to thank Julie Jewell and Christopher McCubbins. I had a medical alert system there the last time I was here, and they were terrific in helping me out. I want to thank them personally. Now, Mr. Mayor, City Council, for the record, my name is Bill Wagner. I currently live in the Vistas. I'm here to make a finalization statement about the approved Landstar development on North Los Altos Parkway. First, I would like to thank Charlene for her nay vote. I'm sure her Ward 4 constituents will never forget it. If they do, I'll definitely remind them. After being advised by our city council members, the law was on the side of Landstar development. The law was there, so you guys had no choice. As stated in the 2008, the start of the Great Recession, how difficult was the financially to run the city, therefore additional tax dollars are always welcome. In conclusion, all I'm asking is that from the start and finish, that the city council keep an eye on the project, and that all, if any, homeowners' complaints are handled expeditiously. Once again, I have the highest regard and the greatest respect for the mayor, the city council, all the city council. Members, the city attorney, city manager, and the city clerk. I thank you, and I really enjoyed my many times sitting here in the hot seat. Thank you all very much.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it. Oops. George Emery.
Mr. Mayor and fellow council members, my name is George Emery. Good afternoon. I come to speak with you today as president and on behalf of the D'Andrea Homeowners Board of Directors and the Homeowners Association. I wish to present the following resolution seeking remediation of the fire hazard on DeAndrea Club property. With your indulgence, the resolution reads as follows. Whereas the Declaration of Covenants, Conditions, and Restrictions for the DeAndrea Community Association specifies that the club property is private property. And whereas the DeAndrea Community Association has no direct control over the club property. And whereas the DeAndrea Fallow Club property parcels weeds constitute a life, property, and health safety threat to DeAndrea Community Association member owners. And whereas club property weeds growing in fairways constitute also an equally dangerous threat to life and property lying in adjoining DeAndrea Ranch Phase 3 Homeowners Association member properties. And whereas the City of Sparks Fire Marshal Bob King and Assistant Fire Marshal Chris McCubbins recommend mowing all golf course parcels in entirety to assist in reducing or eliminating fire hazard-prone club property weeds. Whereas the City of Sparks City Council initiated an unsuccessful March 2017 effort to pursue legal remedy to mitigate the club property weed fire hazard. Now therefore, be it resolved that the City of Sparks, in conjunction with and on behalf of the aforementioned association member owners, vigorously renew and re-engage in any and all means available within its jurisdiction, including but not limited to applicable NRS guidelines, pertinent PUD handbook codes, to cause mitigation and or removal of said fire hazard posed by club property vegetation. Signed this day, July 25, 2018, by my hand on behalf of the DeAndrea Community Association and its Board of Directors. We respectfully ask that the council include this item of business on any and all future agendas until ongoing resolution of this matter is attained. Thank you very much for your attention, and I've never been on the clock before. How did we do?
Good.
Very good.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much, Mr. Mayor and
you.
fellow council members. Mr. Driscoll, thank you to you, sir, as well.
Okay, next is Dick Doherty.
My name is Dick Doherty. I'm with the DeAndrea Homeowners. I'm not on the board. I'm just a member. Mine is somewhat in relationship. It's regarding the golf course, regarding golf course / open space. I keep hearing that the city seems to think, or has in the past, seems to think that now that the golf course is defunct, it becomes open space. That's not according to the handbook. The handbook reads that it will be along with a golf course, a championship golf course, along with open space. I just wanted to make sure that everybody is aware that what George says is a real fire hazard. I look down on the first fairway. If that ever goes up in flames, good luck homeowners along with that fairway. Everybody understands that it's a problem. It just needs to be dealt with, not pushed aside. Mainly from a standpoint of either the city does something in the way of what they tried to do before in March, and the court now has, I guess, pushed it off until November, but someone needs to step up and do something about a fire hazard that your own fire chief, your fire marshal, and your assistant say is a fire hazard. Thank you.
Ray Rocha?
Believe it or not, I'm not gonna say a lot. I know you won't believe that. Ray Rocha, anyway. I'm on the board of DeAndrea and Toscana, and it's reiterating a little bit of what George Emery said. I know it's been difficult a year ago where it was brought up about fire and safety issue at DeAndrea, which none of his own. It's a separate two entities, what we understand, whenever they decide. But the biggest thing is, it needs to be addressed. It can't go another year. It's not only a fire, but it's a fire and safety issue. Appreciate putting it on the board, and let's get it done. There's got to be a way to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all the cards I have. Anyone else want to speak under public comment? Okay. Moving on to approval of the agenda. Anybody want to take anything out of order? If not, looking for a motion. Mr. Abbott. Mr. Smith.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Abbott, second by Mr. Smith to approve the agenda as outlined by staff. Any further questions? Seeing none, please vote. Passed unanimously, thank you. Number 6.1, consideration and possible approval of the minutes of the regular Sparks City Council meeting of July 23rd, 2018. Any omissions, deletions, or corrections? Ms. Bybee? Motion, or you want to have something to say?
I move to accept the minutes from the July 23rd, 2018 meeting as presented.
Mr. Dare?
I second that.
Motion by Ms. Bybee, seconded by Mr. Dare to approve the minutes outlined by staff. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously, thank you. Okay, 7.1, proclamation City of Sparks as a Purple Heart City. I believe I have that here. Someone here to receive this? Thank you, sir, for being here again. We appreciate it. Have a seat. Let me read the proclamation, and I'll let you say a few words.
Would you like to hear my story before you give me the proclamation, or?
We're going to read it, and then you can tell your story. Whereas the citizens of Sparks, Nevada have great admiration and utmost gratitude for all men and women who selflessly served in our country and this city and the state in the armed forces, paying the high price for freedom by leaving their lives and homes and placing themselves in harm's way for the good of all. And whereas the contribution and sacrifice of the men and women who served in the armed forces have been vital in maintaining freedoms and way of life enjoyed by our citizens. And whereas the Purple Heart is the oldest military decoration in the world in present use and was created as a badge of military merit by General George Washington on August 7th, 1782, and as such we forevermore designate August 7th as Purple Heart Day. And whereas the Purple Heart Medal is specifically a combat decoration awarded to members of the Armed Forces of the United States of America who are wounded by an instrument in the hands of the enemy, and posthumously to the family in the name of those who are killed in action, died of wounds received in action, or died as prisoners of war, POW, while in captivity. And whereas the Military Order of the Purple Heart is only congressionally chartered veteran service organization comprised strictly of combat wounded veterans. And whereas the state of Nevada, including City of Sparks, has 894 residents who have made the ultimate sacrifice in armed combat since 1864, and many more who have been awarded the Purple Heart Medal for wounds received in combat. Now, therefore, I, Gino R. Martini, Mayor of the City of Sparks, Nevada, do hereby proclaim the City of Sparks as a Purple Heart City and honor the services and sacrifices of our nation's men and women in uniform wounded or killed by the enemy while service to protect the freedom enjoyed by all Americans. Thank you very much. Okay, just make sure you give us your name for the record and then shoot, go for it.
Okay. Think there's no time limit?
Nope.
First off, I'd like to thank you for giving us the opportunity to be in front of you. And we would like to, and I say we, the chapter of the Military Order of the Purple Heart, would like to present to the City of Sparks a no parking sign,
Great.
and at your discretion, you may place it wherever you feel free to.
Okay.
We would also like to present you with a flag
Nice. Wow,
Very cool.
wow.
To be flown every August 7th.
Okay.
Or whenever you feel free to fly it.
Awesome.
This is an all-weather flag, so you don't have to worry about it shrinking. It's not like some of our members, as we get older, we lose our hearing. Of course, being a machine gunner had something to do with it. But I am a recipient of 2 Purple Hearts, and Andy here is a recipient of 1 Purple Heart from Vietnam, and I am a Korean War veteran. And we're probably, we're teetering right now to where we're losing our members just as fast, if not faster, than World War II veterans. I would really, like I said, I thank you very much for considering and issuing a proclamation for the Military Order of the Purple Heart.
And one thing, sir, could you give us your name for the record, please?
Oh, okay. My name is Ken Santor.
And you, sir?
Andy Lee Pilbit. You
Great.
can't spell that.
Go figure it out.
I've known him for 10 years and I still can't pronounce his last name.
Thank you, sir. Pass that on down. Well, on behalf of the city council and myself, thank you so much. Those are great, great things, and that flag is just beautiful. And we'll make sure that we, every August 7th, that we get it flown. I think our manager is taking notes down there, so we'll take care of it.
I'd like to give you my card too.
Great. Thanks, Ken. Thanks, Ken. I appreciate it. Oh, yeah.
Met you many years ago on an airplane.
No, I know, I remember that.
Right.
Absolutely.
He's the past state treasurer in Nevada.
Okay.
Thanks, Ken.
Give me one of your.
Ken, she wants a picture. But you not, don't.
You wanna
walk
come
the
up
mayor.
here?
Turn around. Oh, you want to come around the
Come
back?
around here and get by him.
Hold it again. And once you hold that, you can do it there.
Don't.
You're bashful, just like I am.
Never been back to Ken.
There you go. Thanks, Ken. It's good to see you. And my Italian friend here.
Well, thanks, gentlemen. That's wonderful. We appreciate it, believe me.
Thank you.
You bet. And thanks for serving. Okay, let's move on. Presentation, Sparks Charter Committee 2018 update. Who's doing this? Mr. La Riviere. Welcome, Bob.
At the bottom of that pit.
Good afternoon, Bob LaRiviere, Chair of the Sparks Charter Committee. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm here today to give you an update of our July 2nd meeting. The Sparks Charter Committee has decided to move forward with the BDR for our city attorney being appointed position. I understand that there's an advisory question going to be out in the ballot this November that's going to go to the citizens to see if they feel it should be appointed or elected. The Charter Committee will reconvene here 2 days after the election. We'll analyze those results and we'll make a decision whether to move forward or pull our BDR. So I just wanted to come here and give you a courtesy update. Any questions?
Questions for Bob? No, pretty straightforward.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks for serving on the committee. Appreciate it. 7.3, presentation 2017 Golden Eagle Regional Park Annual Report. Welcome, sir. How are you today?
Good, how you doing, Mr.
Good.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Tony Paley, Recreation Supervisor for the record. I'm just giving you the annual report from 2017 for the Golden Eagle Regional Park. Every year we put this report together just to see where we stand as far as the usage of Golden Eagle. This is a picture looking back at the valley. We get a lot of people that say we Photoshop our pictures because it looks so beautiful. This was taken by Tom Smeatus. Since we've opened the park in 2008, we continue to just be packed. The park is used every month of the year, but we have tournaments January through November. So 52 tournaments are held there throughout the year. We have teams come from Alaska. A tournament we just had in June had 14 teams from Hawaii. We get teams from Florida, North Carolina, everywhere across the country. So it's been wonderful. This is just an overview picture of the park. In 2017, we generated an estimated $27.74 million in economic impact from the tournaments and events from the visitors at Golden Eagle. Like I said, we had 52 tournaments. We brought in 1,215 visiting teams to Sparks, equating to over 45,000 room nights, putting heads in the beds, and that's our goal with everything we're doing out there. We also hosted 11 tournaments with 50 to 200 teams participating. Some of those are in one weekend, some of them are stretched out over 9 days. Another beautiful picture of the park being utilized at one of the recent tournaments. In addition to the $27 million, we brought in $177,000 in direct income from rentals. Those are practice rentals from local groups. The 1868s rent our fields for their practices during the winter. Local travel teams, we do about 900 rentals a year. We also have over 500 local adult softball and kickball teams participating out there January through November. We also host league and practice for Babe Ruth, Centennial Little League, National Little League, Centennial Softball, Pop Warner Football, Sierra Youth Football, AYSO, Great Basin Soccer, and Northern Nevada Soccer League, 7 days a week for 9 months out of the year. This is one of the crowds at an event in June. As you can tell, the park is packed. As you can see, since we've opened up the park, we had 31 events in 2008. 2017, we had 52 events. There's no other room. We get calls every single week asking us if they can bring a tournament, especially in the summertime. And we have to just turn people away. We can't do it. We have gotten creative in maneuvering some tournaments around. Athletics, which you see at the very top, they came to us from Louisville, Kentucky. They came out the first year, were so successful, they requested a second week, and we accommodated them. In 2019, they're gonna add a third week, totaling 22 days of tournament play at Golden Eagle. They love our area so much, they rent a local storage unit so they don't have to transport their stuff back and forth, just leaving it here because they have so much stuff. They do tournaments across the country, in the South, Florida, Myrtle Beach, but they love it here, and like I said, they've added a third week. Senior Softball USA, 196 teams, ran for 9 days. That's their largest qualifier in the entire United States. So this is just an example of some of our larger tournaments. This is a breakdown of the economic impact. A lot of numbers there. I don't want to go over each and every one, but the big number that matters is the one at the end, the $27.7 million in economic impact and 45,000 room nights. This is the methodology, the method of how I collected the data and the significance of the economic impact. It's not direct income into the city of Sparks, but it is for the entire region with hotels, gaming, transportation, and meals and entertainment. Some pictures from one of the camps that we ran out there. This gal was from Scotland and came out to teach a program that we had at the park. And then this list is just a giant list of all the events that were held out there, how many teams, how many games were held, how many days, how many teams were local, and how many were visiting from outside the area. And that's my presentation. Is there any questions?
Questions for Mr. Pele? Oh, we got questions. Ms. Bybee?
Not a question, just a comment. Just want to basically thank you and your staff and the whole Parks and Recreation and maintenance and everybody who maintains and makes that the phenomenal facility that it is and operates. And it's not only a crown jewel for the city of Sparks, but it's a crown jewel for my Ward 4, which I'm most proud of is Golden Eagle Regional Park. And I don't think people realize the economic impact. So I try to share that throughout the region with other leaders, community leaders and business leaders, just the impact that it has, the economic impact on our community, because a lot of people don't know. And if they don't keep driving out Vista, they've never even seen it. So I think it's good to spread that word, and thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank you too, Tony. I know that we tried really hard to get Tony Hawk here. Where's Tracy? But I understand the Raiders are coming up. They're going to be at Golden Eagles, what I'm told.
I haven't heard that.
Tracy told me that today.
I'm
That's
a Raider
the,
fan, so I'm okay with that.
Well, that's what I'm told.
That's a different Raiders team, I think.
It must be the Reed Raiders.
There you go.
We already have them out.
I know. No, you guys do a great job. I really do appreciate everything. We've got one whole hotel online, 2 more coming up pretty soon, and maybe a 4th one after that. So keep more dollars in the Sparks. Good deal.
Mr. Lawson?
Tony, good job. And this thing is the home run, and using the great metaphor there, right? It is amazing what that does. I'd like to see if we could get with the city manager's approval. I'd like to have you come to the RSCVA board meeting and present these numbers. I don't think a lot of the people from Reno understand just how big of an impact that this park is on the rest of the region, and we don't get credit for that in Sparks enough. And we need to make sure that S and RSCVA is not silent any longer. So I'd love to see if we can arrange that. Mr. Driscoll.
I'm sure he's writing it down. I'm sure it can happen. Mr. Dare?
So my question actually is, if it's filled and people still want to come, what does it take, and this might be something I'd like to see and know, to add another field out there so we can continue to see this, because I know the finances that come in help our city, helps our parks and rec, it helps our thing, and so just knowing what land might be out there, what is the possibility, and when does it make sense to do that? I think what an awesome job, and it is a beautiful thing.
He's looking at Tracy, and
There is some
Tracy
additional
takes some
land to
money,
add.
and there's land out there if we can get the money to do it.
Yes, there is some additional land out there to add some more flat fields. That's the one area that we could probably improve on, is bringing in additional soccer, lacrosse, even Quidditch, the game that was played in Harry Potter. There's a national championship that would like to come, but we don't. A collegiate national championship. So that is the one area where we can't do as much because we don't have as many flat fields as are needed for some of these major tournaments to come in. So I think, like Mr. Mayor said, I think it comes down to
Show me the money.
money.
Well, but knowing that it actually makes money, so when people rent fields and like that, it would just be nice to see the how much is it that we have to come up with, how much is brought in, how much, all that kind of stuff. It'd be good to know that. So,
I'm
in the
sure
future, it can be in the future, but.
Sure, can provide you the information. Thanks, Tony. You know, you're right, and I remember I talked to our former Parks and Rec Director, Stan Shearer, one time, and he said, you know what? This is a lifetime thing. You only get one chance to do a park like this, and he said, myself and the Recreation Department, including Tracy and yourself, put this thing together. It was a tough go with the BLM and all those guys, and on and back and forth and up and down. But once it happened, this is just, like I said, a one-time chance in a lifetime that a city gets to do something like this, and it's just terrific. So never imagined the economic impact this would have, and I think you're right, Christopher, Ed, the people in other cities and stuff, or on the RCV, don't realize the economic impact of this thing. It's tremendous. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, consent items 8.1 through 8.7. Anybody want to pull a consent item? Okay, if not, looking for a motion? Right, Mr. Smith.
Move to approve consent items 8.1 through 8.7.
Have a second, Mr. Abbott? Moved by Mr. Smith, seconded by Mr. Abbott to approve consent items 8.1 through 8.7. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passed unanimously. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to general business. 9.1, presentation, discussion, and possible approval of two-year contract AC 5503 with Carrera Nevada LLC for state legislative and counseling services in the amount of $107,888, which includes $73,238 for fiscal year 2019 and $34,650 for fiscal year 2020. Who's doing this, please? Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Driscoll, and welcome, sir. How are you?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Steve Driscoll, city manager for the record, and I have Rocky Fenseth with Carrera Nevada at my side. This is a pleasure for me to do this, actually. One of the things that we have been very successful is the relationship building that we do at the state legislature. It's a product of you as the elected officials and your cohorts that are down there, but also more importantly, when we can get behind certain closed doors and certain other public functions, and our strategists and lobbyists in Carrera, Nevada, led by Rocky, is how we get that done. We don't have a very loud voice because we're not doing the things that loud voices do, which is we can't help with campaign money. We don't get involved in a lot of things that are down in southern Nevada, which is where the power structure is. But we've asked Carrera for the last several legislative sessions to be a strategist, to explain when it's the right time to be involved and when it's the right time to be invisible. And both of those are good strategies. And so based on that, one of the things that I've learned in my tenure, not only as your manager, but being your head lobbyist for a long period of time, is that the ongoing relationship is one of the most important things that we can have. And so what I'm asking for today is for us to restructure the agreement we have with Carrera Nevada just slightly. We've been going annually, year to year, so you're on session, off session. And I really look at the relationship of a session being 2 years. The 120 days while we're physically in Carson City, and then the other months in between where we're doing the actual work behind the scenes to make things happen. We're making sure that we understand what's going on around us and most importantly, what's happening to us. I think that's a fair word. And I think that the relationship that we have with Rocky, his company, and the relationship he's built with you, I am suggesting that we go to a 2-year contract with some new rates and allow ourselves a mutually agreeable extension of those contracts in 2-year cycles for at least up to 2 more cycles after this one. And since he's in the service business and the service he provides is people related, I suggested to tie the contract to the same economic drivers that drive our labor agreements, which is a very specific West Coast CPI. And so with that, the terms and agreement were within the staff report as we're going, and I'm prepared to answer any questions that you might have.
Questions for Mr. Driscoll. Rocky, you want to make a presentation or anything, or?
No, Mr. Mayor, it's just Rocky Fenseth for the record. Sorry, I apologize. No presentation today. It's just been a pleasure working with all of you, working with the legislative team, working with Mr. Driscoll and his team, in doing what's best for the citizens of the city of Sparks.
Great. Questions, Mr. Smith?
You know, Rocky, you took care of us during the recession, and you've always represented us well, and it's great to have you and your staff are so welcome in Carson City and respected in Carson City. So that gives Sparks some sort of we're wearing off for you, you know what I mean? We're on your coattails on this thing, so I appreciate everything you've done for us, and I'm ready to make a motion. If
Go
you
ahead,
want to.
then we can have comment.
Okay, I move to approve the 2-year contract with Carrera Nevada LLC for state legislative and counseling service in the amount of $107,888.
Ms. Bybee.
I will second, but I do have a question for the city manager. So we're approving,
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Smith, seconded by Ms. Bybee. Questions? Go ahead, Ms. Bybee.
okay. For the manager, so this approval is for the 2-year contract, and in our notes here, it says it contemplates 2 mutually agreed upon extensions. Are those automatic, or do those come back to us again? Or are we approving actually the 2-year plus the extensions included in this motion?
The contemplation, thank you, Steve Driscoll, city manager, for the record. The agreement contemplates that if we have a good working relationship, that they become somewhat automatic. If for any reason either side has a concern and wants to have a conversation, then we would have an appropriate conversation. And if that conversation brought itself to needing council direction, then the manager would bring it back for council direction at that point in time. Our belief is that as you provide direction to the manager, and we work with our lobby service and our strategic planning service that Rocky provides, we pretty much set ourselves constantly looking in the future, and we set ourselves up to where we're having milestones that we're meeting that show we're being successful. If that's not happening, then this agreement contemplates we can talk about it before it expires and determine what we're going to do, whether it is to make a tweak and then change, or to discontinue the relationship is always a possibility, or just to drive on with that continuity, which I believe is very important in this case.
Okay, and I don't have an issue with that. I just wanted to be clear of if we were just doing the 2 years or if the extensions were included, and I support that.
At any time, any member of the council and particularly your legislative team can bring issues to me, and we would ask and answer questions and make sure that we're doing the policy of the council.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Smith, seconded by Ms. Bybee to approve 9.1. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passed unanimously, and for me, Rocky, I'm sorry, I'm gonna miss the legislature, not for 1 second am I gonna miss going down there. Not that there aren't a lot of good people there I like to talk to, but sorry, can't. But I'll miss our meetings with you and your staff. You know, they're good people, you're good people, and I enjoy how you've treated us and how you've led us to stay out of stuff that's none of our business, that we were used to get our nose in and didn't need to. Now, you advise us, and the strategies that you've given us are excellent, and I think we've become a steady Eddie down there where where we get involved with stuff that we need to get involved in, that people know that we're there to support things, and then we don't get involved in things that we shouldn't get involved in. So thanks again to you and your staff, and again, I will not miss going down to Carson City, but I'll miss our meetings and you and your staff, so thank you very much.
Thanks, we'll miss you.
Okay, 9.2, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of a forensic support service agreement, AC 5504, for fiscal year 2018-19 between the Washoe County Sheriff's Office and the Sparks Police Department, and ratification of an expenditure in the amount of $489,500. Holy shnikes. Go ahead, Pete.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. For the record, Pete Krall, Deputy Chief of Police at the Police Department. Here to provide you some information regarding the proposed forensics contract between the City of Sparks and the Washoe County Sheriff's Office. Since approximately 1988, there has been a contract between the City of Sparks and the Washoe County Sheriff's Office regarding forensic services. These services include processing of DNA samples and fingerprint requests, and processing of major crime scenes such as officer-involved shootings and homicides. For the last several years, the amount of the contract has increased by approximately $50,000 per year. There are several factors which likely force costs for the sheriff's office to rise. These include a 120-day time limit for processing of DNA samples, which forced the sheriff's office to hire additional staff to meet that mandate, which came through the state legislature. Additionally, through the influence of many things, including to some degree television, prosecutors have been forced to demand more forensic services in some cases to provide enough information to juries so that they can render guilty verdicts where appropriate. This sometimes is referred to as the CSI effect. The initial amount requested for the sheriff's office for fiscal year 19 was in excess of $857,000. However, through conversations, which I understand Mr. Driscoll was involved in, the number arrived at for this year's request is $489,500. On behalf of the police department, I would like to take a moment and thank Mr. Driscoll for his time and efforts in this area. And I'm happy to answer any questions or provide information as the council needs.
Questions for Pete? I have one question for Mr. Driscoll. Property tax we pay to the county doesn't include this kind of, what, a property owner in Sparks, was it 91 cents per 100 or whatever? Is that what we give to the county from property tax that we gain in Sparks?
The 91 cents you're referring to is the money that we assess our taxpayers for the municipal services City of Sparks does. The county charges $1.37
Okay.
of our 365,
There you go.
$3.66 that's there. Within that are all the services that the county provides. There was a time when the equivalent of the $1.37 did in fact pay for forensic services in total. Over the years, it was determined that the sheriff, based on a lot of things, including the unfunded mandate that Deputy Chief Kroll was talking about, that it exceeded the amount of money that the $1.37 would pay for. And there was agreements based on volume of work that we were putting through forensics that we would defer some cost. And we always did that under protest, feeling as if that should have already been paid for. And so that does continue. The cost has escalated dramatically. And while we were successful in negotiating last several years, and again this year to a much reduced rate from what our theoretical share is, that differential from what we are paying versus what they would like to charge us is being made up by tax dollars paid for by the county, which includes the citizens of Sparks.
Thanks, Mr. Driscoll, and I appreciate that, and I'm pleased with what you've done to negotiate this cost, but at the same time, don't know that it's the correct thing to do. $800,000, and you know, sooner or later, this is gonna have to come to a head, I think. Somebody's gonna wanna collect the whole thing, and somebody's not gonna wanna pay the whole thing, and sooner or later, it's gonna come to a head, and it's kind of, it's just not right sometimes with the tax dollars. I understand the $1.37 doesn't cover as much as it used to, but that's not our fault, is it? If the legislature would take up with the property tax and fix it, maybe we could fix this too, where we wouldn't be paying this $500,000 almost every year, which is gonna escalate. And sooner or later, we'll get a sheriff that will be tough to deal with, and Mr. Smith will have to take care of that. So, it's gonna be difficult. Okay, Mr. Lawson, go ahead.
What was the increase from last year to this year?
It was $50,000.
50,000?
Yes, sir.
So just in my time of being elected, this thing has gone up like almost $300,000 in less than 8 years. So
I
it's.
believe that's correct, yes, sir.
It's a significant amount of money, and I agree with the mayor, but I also agree we gotta fix property taxes so that we can, spread the wealth a little bit more. But yeah, this is a necessary service, obviously, and I agree with you, the CSI effect is, when you're sitting on a jury, well, how come they don't know that?
Exactly.
They know that on CSI, and they solve it in 30 minutes.
Exactly, come on, what's going on?
So, yeah, it's still well worth the money.
Mr. Dare.
So I'd actually like to help make this come to a head, personally. I think the forensic lab is crucial to what we do, and I support our police 100%. Part of that is why I think we can't keep doing this, because we need to be able to pay for police and other things that we have to pay for. And so I'm gonna just say, just because of, I mean, I know that the price came in very high and we had to go in and barter again, so it seems in a weird, arbitrary way. Bills can't be like that. Our budget can't function that way. We need that money to do what we're required to do. I know that as a region, Reno uses that as well. I don't believe that's compensated correctly at this point. I think I question how the county's compensating. It would almost seem like we're the ones that's majorly, we're a smaller city financially on the block, and we're taking up, it seems like, a big portion of that. At least it seems. If the answers are different and we need to come back and pay something, I'd like to be a part of that conversation instead of being stuck with something that doesn't seem to make sense. So when it's time for a motion, I'm going to personally not vote for this.
Okay, any other questions? Comments? Ms. Bybee?
I have concerns also as the formula and how our responsibility and with the county and the tax issue. But at the end of the day, forensic services are critical to solving crimes, to which is part of our job, is public safety. And a big component of public safety is this component of the forensic ability to solve crimes. And whether they're cold cases or there are crimes happening this week, it's important that we have that. It's in our budget right now. I'd like to maybe direct the manager and us to look, maybe the next time this comes around, how we can work with the county on mitigating some of this cost, but it's in our budget right now. So, and we need it, and we need the services, so I'm going to be supporting this motion to approve.
Can I just say, one of the things I'd like to say is, I know, I've only been here, this is my second year actually getting to vote on this, but I've sat in city council meetings listening to every year us say the same thing. And so I think we have worked. I just want to say that, not going against Charlene, Ms. Bybee, what she's saying, but I would make sure we know, we've been talking about this for quite a few years. And this is not a new conversation. And each year we kind of say that, well, let's see what's going to happen. And we see what's happening. $50,000. Matter of fact, it was actually going to be $450,000 if we didn't go and say we weren't going to pay it. So I think the concern's a little bit bigger than whether we have it in our budget or not, so.
Okay, Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with Mr. Dare on this, that we're already paying the taxes to have this done. I understand the costs and everything else. But the county does not hesitate. 7 years ago, they pulled $1 to $2 million away from the city of Sparks in road maintenance fees, and they've never reinstated it. They said it was because of the recession. And even when they did that, a couple of the county commissioners voted not to do that, but it passed anyway. So they can't have it both ways all the time. They're withholding I think it's about $2 million a year. Okay, about $2 million a year that we should be receiving road maintenance funds. I will vote for it this year, but I think next year we seriously need to look at this and see what we can do. Thank you.
Mr. Abbott?
Yeah. Do you know what Reno side is of it? Their total?
I do not, sir.
I think we do.
Steve might have it.
Mr. Abbott, their financial agreement with Washoe County their financial agreement versus Washoe County is different for the fact that they provide dispatch services that they don't charge the county for, and they offset it with forensic services that they don't bill the city of Reno for. So the equation that the funding allocation goes to, it's varied and, shall I say, messy. So I believe I'm hearing direction from the council that I need to have a conversation with the manager of Washoe County to determine how this goes. There is three political bodies involved here, in that it's our political body, it's the commission, which is the political body of Washoe County, and then there also is the sheriff, who is unto himself as his own political body, and to go forward. So what I'm hearing is direction to me to begin a negotiation process to see if we can come to a conclusion that fairly provides funding for the services that are needed by our community, and to make sure that we aren't double and triple paying for something. And more importantly, from previous direction that I've had, which is how I've been successful in negotiating in the past, is the costs that have escalated and increased, while we're paying for them, we had nothing to say about them. And that's been how I've been able, on your behalf, to hold down the escalation to things that we can see specific inflation to. So I believe I have what I need. We'll have some further conversations, and if I need more direction from the council, I'll come back and ask for it.
So we pay this every year. They have a new facility over there at the Washington County. Do we have a room over there dedicated to Sparks? Is it paid for by the city of Sparks? General?
There's a big green can in it.
What we do at the new facility is whenever we take up space, there's space for us to take up.
Good. Mr. Abbott?
I have one more. So I'm with Christopher. You know, we had the same conversation last year that we needed to talk about it. And I don't think that really ever happened too often from at least my side. Are we able to do maybe a 6-month agreement to make sure we have some feet on the fire that we, is that possible? So we can try to come back in 6 months and look at this again? I don't know.
Well, one thing, remember, when you have feet on the fire, they wanted to charge us $900, we settled for $400, and remember, our feet are on the fire too, so.
Well, on that one, are they obligated then at that point? If we said no today, that's another conversation.
Supreme Court.
There you go.
It's feet on fire all the time.
I
No
would
way.
suggest that,
Some say yes, some say no.
I'll suggest, Mr. Mayor, that we have negotiated in good faith and settled on a number and settled on a term. And that I believe that we should fulfill our obligation of that good faith. And then based on the direction I've received today is to actively negotiate now versus later, and bring in the elected bodies or their policies as needed. And if we need to have a different forum to have the conversation, then it would be my job to provide that forum for you as individuals or as a collective body. So I would suggest that we consider that at this time.
Ms. Bybee,
I'm ready to make a motion.
go for it.
I move to approve the Forensic Support Services Agreement with the Washoe County Sheriff's Office and ratify the $489,500 expenditure.
Do you have a second? Do you have a second? Ron Smith?
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Bybee, seconded by Mr. Smith to approve 9.2 as outlined by staff. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes 4-1. Mr. Dare is a no. Thanks, Pete. The chief let you hanging out here on this deal, did he?
Well, he had other appointments, sir, so I'm happy to step in.
Just kidding. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, 9.3, you on that too, Pete? Let me know.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 9.3, consideration of possible acceptance of funding for a Geographic Technology Specialist 1-2 GIS for Police and Fire Services from the 9/11 Emergency Response Advisory Committee in the amount of $89,283. Go ahead, Pete.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Again, Pete Kroll, Deputy Chief, for the record. This is a position which there are a great many number of people at our department who work behind the scenes and don't receive the thanks that they should. This position essentially creates and maintains all of the mapping software that the fire department, police department, and dispatch use on a daily basis. So literally from the moment someone calls 911, that mapping process touches that call somewhere along the line. This is a position we've had since the year 2015. It is an absolutely vital day-to-day position for us. Those maps change virtually on a daily basis and contain information such as fire hydrant locations, business names, and other crucial information that help public safety personnel locate those addresses in times of emergency.
Is that it? Questions? Questions for Pete? Okay, if not looking for a motion, Mr. Dare.
I move to accept the funding of Geographic Technology Specialist 1 and 2, GIS for Police and Fire Services from the 911 Emergency Response Advisory Committee in the amount of $89,283.
Mr. Abbott.
Second?
We have a motion by Mr. Dare, seconded by Mr. Abbott to approve 9.3 as outlined by staff. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Okay, Mr. Smith is out of the room, so please display. Passes 4 to zip 1 out of the room, so absent. Okay, thank you. Are you still going here, Mr. Crowe?
No, sir, I believe I'm.
Thanks.
Yeah, you want to stay for this one?
I knew you could do it.
Oh, no.
Please. Utility player.
Mr. Cobb, 9.4, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of a landscape maintenance service contract, AC 5505, for the Landscape Maintenance District's bid 18990-002, with Signature Landscapers for the proposed contract period of September 2018 through March 2020, for a total cost not to exceed $180,899. Go ahead, Mr.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Chris Cobb, Parks Development Coordinator. I'm here before you this afternoon asking for consideration and possible approval of a landscape maintenance services contract for the Landscape Maintenance District's bid, which encompasses Mason Meadows, Triple Crown, and Promontory, with Signature Landscapes from September of this year through March of 2020.
Give another area.
The project was publicly bid in June and opened in late June. We did do this as a public bid. We did reach out to several vendors in the valley. We only did receive one bid, who is the current provider of services that we've been working through in the last few years. That said, with this bid, we did go through that myself with the contracts manager, Mr. Dan Marin, Public Works or Community Services Director, Mr. Martini. I believe we outlined better in the bid what services are to be provided, leaving no gray area, and also providing us an ability to deal with deficiencies through formal inspections and being able to deduct that from services at a monthly rate, depending on what they were deficient in. With that, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions on this. I know you may have many.
Questions, Mr. Lawson?
So Chris, because we've had people in here unhappy with Signature Landscape, and sorry to say that they were the only ones that bid it, but what are we doing to put their minds at ease that we're gonna do our due diligence on the city of Sparks side to hold Signature Landscaping's feet to the fire?
What I can tell you is I'm regularly in contact with our current area manager on a weekly basis. We do a drive along once a month, but weekly we do discuss issues. I keep a copy of every complaint I do receive and interact with my area manager as I receive them and work on follow-up. It has been a struggle, I will be honest with you. I have been happy in the last few weeks. Obviously, we're waiting to approve a contract. Seems that there has been improvement. However, there have been a few issues that arose today that I've already reached out. So it continues to be a lot of effort and time involved with it that will continue.
So are you solely the one that is responsible for this contract? Do we have anyone else that helps you to drive these areas and make sure that they're living up to their part of the bargain?
No, sir. It falls on my shoulders.
Just on you. Okay.
Big shoulders, you mean?
thank
Charlene
you.
Bybee.
I do appreciate the fact that you've cleaned up some of the gray areas that we had in the current contract. I also was not happy to see that Signature was the only bid that we did receive, because obviously we've heard all the residents coming in here more than once with more than one issue, and serious issues. You know, residents shouldn't be out there trimming bushes and cleaning up an area that we're paying, that, you know, that they are and the city is paying, that should be done by the people that are being paid to do that. So not happy that it is Signature again, but I do appreciate that the gray area is cleaned up. And I do think that hopefully putting some teeth into this contract with financial penalties if they don't live up to it is a good step in the right direction. So I guess my message out there to Signature would be they need to be doing their job that they're paid for. And if we have residents that are coming to you or back to us, then Signature should be penalized. But if we're going to award this contract, I want to know that we have the assurance that they're going to do the job that we're paying them to do. So, and I do appreciate your work, and I'm, not happy that you have to do. It's labor intensive for you, so that's not okay either. So I just would like Signature Contract to do the job that they're supposed to do, and so that you and the residents and all of us don't have to be concerned with it, and the work is done, and the green belts are maintained like they should be. But thank you for your work.
Mr. Dare.
A couple questions. When does this expire, the existing contract we have with them?
Currently, we've been doing extensions on a month-by-month,
Okay.
the current existing contract that we're under.
So
We
that's
did
already
this in June, and we've been having to extend it month by month as we worked through this bid, how it came in, preparing a staff report for you, reviewing financials. So we're under a month-to-month as we sit today.
And secondly, so what if, we just say, next week you get another call, following week another call, we start charging them, they still aren't responding. Can we bail on this thing and say you've breached contract, we're done? Or are we stuck with this for the next, through March 19 or whatever that is? Are we stuck where we have no out?
I will let our contracts risk manager answer that.
March 20.
March 20, yeah, that's right, March 20.
Mr. Merritt.
Good afternoon, Dan Marion, your Contracts and Risk Manager for the record. As with any contract, we do have language in the document itself that allows for breach of contract, but we have the same issues then that we do now in that we would still need to locate another contractor that has the capacity to add in that sizable job. In looking at this project, there is a market reason why there weren't competitive bids. Presumably, given the schedule that we're at right now in terms of growing season and available workforce in those general services, we're seeing impacts in all manner of service contracts, from custodial to landscaping to others that we've seen anecdotally. And so, yes, in theory, we could go in with the assistance of the city attorney's office and close out the contract for breach. Absolutely. But we then have a very similar problem to what we have now. And so it really becomes the evil that you know versus that you don't. And availability of contractors to pick up the work on a rather quick basis.
To me, in this, it's not my decision only, but if it was, I think there's no way we can say yes to these guys. They're not doing a good job, and we're going to give them twice a raise for not doing a good job. It makes absolutely no sense to me, and to sit back and do that, and it just means for our constituents, for us, we would never, any other business wouldn't hire this way. So, okay, so we know that. However, we're stuck in a position where it's the only bid we have. And sitting here, we either can sit back and say, well, we're just going to charge them and hope for the best, or we say, we could even say, let's give them a 3-month window. I'm not saying to do this. This is just the options I get in my brain, is to take 3 to 6 months and say, we can't trust you with that long of a thing because you've not proven that. And so we're going to do a shorter one. Show us you can do this job, and we'll consider keeping you for the remainder. That'd be one approach. Or the other one is we're just ready to start looking again as soon as they stop doing it. But I know you've worked very hard on this. So with it, this is not a slight to you. I actually feel for you many days. I see it in your face sometimes as you're trying to work with them. But I just think when it comes to the business and protecting our taxes and our people, this seems very strange that we're saying yes. However, I get why we might say yes, but I think it has to be known that we need some major upkeep on this and updates so we know how to approach this. I don't want in a year and a half us just kind of rewarding them for not doing work.
The challenge, Mr. Dare.
Go ahead.
3 months will be in the winter season. I rarely have a phone call in the winter season outside of leaf issues and raking. It's usually about late April, May is when the phone has started to ring. Last year, through the winter, they did pretty substantial work, trimming, preparing everything for the spring. Come late spring, that's when everything started to bloom and started to okay. So
Ms. Bybee.
I do have one more question. Is this an increase over our contract before, or is it higher because we're 19 months instead of a 12-month contract?
Correct. Typically, the contract ran through the end of March, it being already September when we would be approving this.
Right.
Instead of doing a shorter window, we ran it through the following spring and summer. So it is a longer contract going through March of '20. The contract, even if you looked at it on a 12-month basis, is an increase in cost of
How much?
I didn't compare it to the contract from about 7 years ago, but it is an increase from previous bids.
Okay, thank you.
Ask for the amount.
Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Why don't we just go month to month on using last year's contract? It's cheaper anyway and then rebid it.
If I may, the month-to-month rate that we're getting is actually a higher rate than the previous contract because it did expire. And we were forced to ask for a new rate to be able to nurse this thing along to today.
Are we working on the new rate right now then?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I still wouldn't mind if we didn't give a contract, just go for the next until the growing season's over and then look into what we can do for next year. Just a thought. I know you've worked hard on this and I'm not discounting that at all. It's just that I agree with Mr. Dare that we're rewarding somebody with a higher contract that's not doing the work they're supposed to be doing now. And, and I know you get calls, and I think it's Christopher's ward, but we all get calls on that because they know us, so.
Exactly.
And there's not a lot we can say except, well, we'll get them out, or you'll go out and check it out, and then you turn it over to Signature, and then they don't go, and they tell you they are going, so on, it's a mess. And I know it's all labor-related. They don't have the help. But a lot of people don't have the help, so that's just my 2 cents worth.
True story. Shouldn't be in business if they can't get the help, so. And I agree, Chris, you do a tremendous job, and we appreciate it. It's just difficult, so. Any more questions? If not, looking for a motion.
I'll try.
Go ahead, Mr. Dare.
I move to reject the contract and provide direction to the city manager to revisit this going month to month.
Do we have a second? Mr. Smith.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Dare, seconded by Mr. Smith. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes 3-2. Miss Bybee is a no, and Mr. Lawson is a no. Okay. Are you squared away there, pal?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks, Chris, appreciate it. Okay, 9.5, consideration, discussion, possible approval of the mayor's recommendation of an appointment to Sierra Arts Foundation Board of Trustees for a one-year term from the following pool of applicants listed in alphabetical order: Francine Burge, Delilah Duerder, and I don't have the rest of here. And I think the appointment I wanted to do was, and I have that agenda items.
9.5.
Yeah, who's the lady that- Francine, could you come down, please? I didn't write down the recommendation that we got was for, do you remember who the recommendation was from?
This is for the Sierra Arts Board, which is a City of Sparks liaison. And the liaison works on programs between the City of Sparks and Sierra Arts Foundation.
Right, but there was a name that was sent to me, and I don't see it on here for some reason.
That is the next item, which is the Arts and Culture
Oh, okay,
Advisory Committee. Yes, sir.
I lost my mind. I got excited because I didn't see any names. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, based on a previous conversation, we were hoping that Ms. Burge would continue to be a representative on Sierra Arts.
Okay. I would appreciate if she would too, so. Any other further questions? Okay, seeing none, or we need a motion, I'm sorry. Mr. Smith.
Okay, I move to confirm Francine Burge, the mayor's appointment to the Sierra Arts Foundation Board of Trustees for a one-year term that will expire August 13th, 2019.
Ms. Bybee.
Second?
Motion by Mr. Smith, seconded by Ms. Bybee to approve 9.5, the appointment of Ms. Burge to the Sierra Arts Foundation. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Okay, now. Consideration, discussion, and possible approval of the mayor's recommendation of an appointment to the Sparks Arts and Culture Advisory Committee for a partial term plus a 2-year term from the following pool of applicants listed in alphabetical order: Scott Benton, Taylor Michael Blake, Delilah Dorder, Cheryl Hannah Hare, Nicole Miller, Kayleen Spinhern, and Andrea Tavener. And Cheryl Hannah Hare is my choice for the appointment. So, questions? Mr. Dare,
I just make a motion. if you'd like.
please.
I move to confirm the mayor's recommendation to the Arts and Culture Advisory Committee of Ms. Cheryl.
Second, Mr. Lawson. Second. Motion by Mr. Hare, second by Mr. Lawson to approve 9.6 outlined by the staff. Any further discussion? That would be the appointment of Cheryl Hannah Hare to the Arts Commission. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
She here?
Passes unanimously. One question is Cheryl Hannah Hare here? Oh, great. If you want to come down, Cheryl, thank you so much for volunteering to do this. And just have a seat, give us your name for the record, please, and then just talk to us a minute about your experience and why you wanted to be on the commission. We appreciate it.
Cheryl Hannah Hare. Good afternoon. I was born and raised here. My family was kind of a very important part of the environment, in my environment in Sparks. And growing up, my father was a musician, local musician, so was my brother. After my parents passed away, I moved to California.
Who's your father?
Bob Hanna, and my brother Rob Hanna.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Know Rob well.
So do I. So when my mother and father passed away, I decided I needed to get out of Dodge a little bit. So I went to Northern California and opened a bookstore. Eyes rolling. It was a wonderful experience. I got to get involved with the community. I was also on the Arts and Cultural Committee in Los Gatos, California. And that's where my husband and I had a bookstore. Unfortunately, with the rents there being ridiculous, our bookstore went out of business. But prior to that, we worked very close with the library, the local schools, and the Arts and Culture Commission. I headed 4 committees within being on the committee, to the point of some pretty successful things that I'd like to bring here with my experience and try to just keep moving forward and making Sparks as great as it can be.
Well, thanks, Cheryl. You have good genes. You come from a good stock, let me tell you.
Oh,
So.
thank you, sir.
Any questions for Cheryl?
I just used to see your dad in spring training every year.
Every year.
Every year.
Yeah,
That's
we used to, I now am carrying on that kind of tradition, in that I meet with all my kids and all of their friends, about 12 of us, and we get a house, and so we always have a little cheer
Good
to
times.
who they called Boppy.
Go ahead.
I knew your mom and dad. My parents, Ralph and Kathy Thomas, were in Sertoma with your dad and mom, and then, of course, your brother came later. You guys were all probably around our age, and really excited you're back in the area and that you're bringing back an incredible wealth of knowledge and experience, and, like the mayor said, good genes for music and for the arts. So I think you're going to be a great addition to and would like to welcome you.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I knew your dad too. He's a terrific person.
I thought he was kind of okay.
Now I see why you're very good in volunteer. Well, anyway, thank you so much for volunteering. You know, if it wasn't for volunteers, the city would have a tough go in doing anything or getting anything done, especially in some of the economic times we have, and revenues are not great all the time. And, you know, we appreciate our citizens stepping up and doing what you do. So thank you so much. Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
and I promise I will do my best.
I expect nothing but the best. Thank you. All right. Okay, public hearings, then planning comments. Comments from the public? Anyone want to speak out of comments from the public? Okay, seeing none, we'll go comments from the mayor, city council, and city manager. Mr. Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have an announcement. Due to a resignation, the city of Sparks is looking for someone to serve the remainder of a term on the Sparks Planning Commission. The term runs through December 31st of 2020, and this appointee would be eligible for a reappointment for additional terms. Persons interested in serving on this committee should complete a community service application available from the city clerk's office. You may also apply online at the city's website, www.cityofsparks.us. Click on Government on the webpage, and then click Volunteering for Sparks Board and Commission and complete a volunteer application. Applications will be accepted until the close of business on August 27, 2018.
Now, again, announcements, these are the ones, am I missing a point here or something? I asked before that we get these announcements, these type of announcements at the beginning of the meeting, is that in the works or?
We'll be doing that the next time around.
Okay. Because I see Mr. Abbott giving me the stink eye over here, and I don't want to get Mr. Abbott mad at me, because he's. Okay, Mr. Lawson.
So I'd like to see if we can look into some kind of parking enforcement, especially in older Sparks. We have people parking on sidewalks and driveways, blocking our streets, numerous travel trailers that you can't see around corners and creating an issue. We even had one parked in front of a fire hydrant for a long time, and it's just gotten to where it's unacceptable, and it's too hard for the police department to do it. I want to look into some type of parking enforcement that they have the ability to run around and write tickets and try and clean this problem up. Because we have, I think especially in Ward 1 and Ward 2, you know, that lack of space and more people living in the same dwelling, and you know, you have 6 or 8 houses for a condo that is 1,000 square foot, and you got 4 cars out in front of it. So it just doesn't work. I think parking has gotten to be one of my #1 complaints.
Yeah, a good point, and I think we have the volunteer service that does in the handicap zones, is that correct, Mr. Driscoll? They're enforcing the handicap zones, and I believe they write tickets in those zones, but not other ones.
Yes, our code currently allows for, it defines what illegal parking is. We can take a look at those. One of your enforcement issues currently is workforce resources. But based on this conversation, I'll have a conversation with the police department to understand these particular complaints and whether we have code that addresses them. If not, we'll fix that, and then we'll figure out how to do some enforcement for you.
And
I think part of this is we get in between code enforcement and police, and so code enforcement can take care of grass and problems there, but then they have to call the police out because there's an illegal vehicle or non-licensed vehicle, you know, so there's that crossover there. I'd kind of just like to see, I don't know, when I was young, we called them meter maids, and they'd ride around and issue tickets, and I'm okay with that. They generate their own revenue, and I think that would help clean up, at least make our city look a little nicer, and especially around my house. There's at least 5 travel trailers parked, and one you have to pull literally out into the middle of the street before you can see both ways. So it's an issue that I know I'm not the only one, and it's a problem that I'm getting. I probably had 4 phone calls in the last 3 weeks about it.
You know, Ms. Lawson, I hope we can wait until after November 12th, because, you know, I like to park anywhere when I go downtown. So I don't want to get a ticket.
You have a special placard, though.
I don't want to get a ticket.
You can
okay,
park
please?
anywhere, even in Reno, you can park wherever you want.
Okay, Mr. Darren, go ahead.
I had the opportunity this week to go to Hot August Nights, and it was just fantastic. I want to thank our police and fire and everybody out there. It really was a great time. I do want to say, though, I noticed I was over, and if anybody's looking for parking during our events, I just want to say it really loud, and please share this. Our movie parking, I was over there, and almost every night the thing was pretty much half empty. Yeah. And so part of it, I think maybe people don't know that that's open, and we want to make sure you know. There is a lot of parking down there, and I know the rumors out there might not be. There is a lot of parking. I'm talking, I took a picture, and on 3 floors, there was not a car. not a car in the parking lot. So I want to say, I mean, that was up in the structure next to the movie theater. So I know we have our big 39 North, I think it's our final one coming up, and someone might say, well, the parking's hard. I'm telling you, it's just right there. There is parking, and I took pictures of it to prove it. It's there, I promise. So please go down and enjoy our events. We have great events going on, and we'll get through the construction, but in the meantime, there is parking. You don't have to park far away.
Ms. Bybee?
I just want to encourage everyone, we've got an event that's in its second year that is happening this weekend at the Sparks Marina. It's the Dragon Boats. And we, several of us, well, most of us sitting up here on the dais are going to be in the Sparks Psychedelics team of a Sparks Dragon Boat that will be racing. No promises, I have no clue what I'm doing, but one of 21 or 22 people in these boats. But it should be a really good event that helps Immunize Nevada fundraiser. There'll be vendors, I think, crafts and food, and just a really fun, unique event that'll be going on all day Saturday. Where's someone with times? Francine left. All day Saturday? I don't even have times. 10 o'clock? All day Saturday in the marina, so go check it out.
Anyone else? Just for me, Hot August Nights, I think, went very well. Didn't hear anything bad from the police department. Everything seemed to be fine. Same with the fire department. I was down there Saturday morning picking out a car, and it was well attended from what I saw. So, you know, we'll make this work. I know it's a struggle, and I had people call me an idiot and yell at me and all that kind of stuff, but.
That was from the council.
Exactly, this is just from the dais, yeah. So, you know, it's gonna work, it's just different, that's all it is, it's just different. People are gonna come down there because it's a great event, and we have the rib cook-off coming, and I know people like to eat ribs, so I will see you down there. Thanks. Any other comments? See no further business, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Yeah.